then all of those stories revolved around my appreciation of startups and how startups really navigate themselves through success. Because a startup responsibility doesn't end with raising money. It always goes through the process of proving that your value proposition really makes sense and it will really have an impact, right? So and that's what I did. And then there was this opportunity to work on a very very quite successful company in raising money. They've raised $48 million in total.
Ooh-wee.
But all of a sudden, they were confronted with this existential problem of 3 founders leaving.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, growth was going down, and nobody seems to be able to run it, and that's where the initial interest came about, right? So
yeah, I remember. So I bumped into Luis in one of the rooftop parties during the pandemic. You were there.
I was there.
Yeah, I remember this. I remember this party, right? And
he was courting.
Yeah. He was like, "Oh, who?" And this is right at the thick of that crisis in PayMongo. So I'm not gonna talk about it. You should do your research. That's not what we're gonna be discussing. Very well documented. That's not the purpose of the show. The purpose is what happened after, right? So absolutely. And I bumped into Luis, and you were there. And Luis was like, "Yeah, don't worry, we're gonna be fine. We have a big announcement soon." I did not know that you were the big announcement. Nililigawan ka pala during that time.
Trying to convince me that it makes sense to do a new thing. As you said, I was about to retire. I'm happily working on GoTime. I mean, they're quite successful now.
Yeah.
And GoTime has become one of the biggest decisions I made, which is to establish that and set it up for the Gokong ways.
Technically founder.
I am a founder. I'm the founder. I came up with that idea. I went to to Time to set up that joint venture, and the rest is history, right? So,
right. So retirement is the end game for people who've been hustling for years.
Yeah.
How did Luis even convince you to even, because it's not like you're coming into a really chill situation.
Yep.
Jojo, this was a mess.
It was a mess, yeah.
When you got into. So how did you build conviction to even do it again? Forego retirement for a bit.
Yeah.
And go into this thing and be the adult in the room where the whole sky was falling.
Yeah, I mean, I've been working for decades already. I've been with the fintech industry for, I was a founder. I was the CEO of Smart Money, which became Maya, and then I was also the CEO of a thrift bank that I converted to a digital bank in Cambodia. I run a rewards company of the Gokong Ways. I run a CVC, and also I run I set up a GoTime. So I think that type of experience, to your point, okay na yan, you rest.
Dude,
your
the
rest
accolades are great.
Okay na yan, okay na yan. But this thing that happened, and you called it rightly as a mess. But when I looked at the mess, it was something was beyond that, because when the investors, and PayMongo's investors are not small investors, man. You have Stripe, you have Y Combinator, you have Peter Thiel, you have Justin Matin, founder of Tinder, you have Soma, you have GFC. I mean, it's top echelons of the investment.
Yeah.
But when they talked to me, and they felt so bad that this thing happened. To me, I look at it as the total, investment community or total startup community. Imagine Peter Thiel or somebody else or Stripe announcing that we were pulling out. This is not only a PayMongo mess. This is a mess across the startup environment.
This is a Philippine startup
Yeah,
mess.
I mean, how can you trust the Filipino startup founders?
Everybody pays that price.
Yeah, because something like this, you raise $48 million, and then what? You have all of this, all of this mess and all of these scandals, all of these controversies.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Luis and basically saying, I'm with you, Luis, but been there, done that. But I'm into retirement, but he said that I think there's a point where we can prove that maybe we can turn this around and prove that not every founder is like what they have experienced. And I started thinking about it. And the good thing about it is the investors really approached me. It's not just Luis, the key investors, and they said that I think the only way we can solve this is get somebody who's experienced, who has this level of reputation, who has really have a good network that can turn this around, because that's what we need, because it was totally messed up. And I said, maybe I'll give it a shot. But and this is my what do you call this, the one that before I left Go Time and JG Dev, I talked to Lance and basically said, I think I have a calling here. I think I still have about 2 to 3 years to probably turn things around. It's not for me, because whether I succeed or fail, I think the things that I've done prior to that will speak for itself, right? So, and then he said, it's wish you luck, and then basically said, let's find out if we can, work together, how we can support you and all that. So that gave me the determination to make it happen. So I said yes to Luis and to the investors, and maybe the rest is history.
No, but I want to dig deep here, because it's not just your decision.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure you had to talk to the wifey.
Talk to the wifey. Right?
Who is the real boss.
Yeah.
And these decisions, because again, you guys were looking forward to already retiring.
Yeah.
Right? How did you convince the family na meron pang one last shot, the final countdown technically, to do it? Because again, this is not an easy situation. Pretty sure it was stressful. But how did you convince the wifey and the family that, hey, kaya pa to one shot?
Ron, I remember somebody asking me that question several years ago, and now I'm having goosebumps, because I want to go back to the time that I told my wife that I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And my wife, since I was in the US and I was in Cambodia, have always asked me to what are you still doing? You were good. Yeah. All your kids are working already. You don't need anything else. And then I told her that I think this is my part, which is the paying forward part. We're in, I'll take this. I mean, paying it forward, man. My salary was cut by 2/3, right? So I'm getting in with 1/3 of my salary. I was already an executive in the Gokongwei group, and then at the same time, I don't know whether even if they bombard me with shares or options, how long will it take for me to realize
Makaka-exit nga ba?
Makaka-exit nga ba, di ba? So, and then I think the reason I'm saying goosebumps is because my daughter, who was around 29 years old then, asked me, Dad, why do you need to do this? What will a 59-year-old, 60-year-old guy do in a startup whose age average is about 27? What are you trying to prove? And I said, probably I'll share this with you when, I turn it around. I'll share with you what are the things that you will learn also, because my daughter is also the marketing head of one of the one of the more successful health tech companies here, health tech startup. And that's what I told her, after 2 or 3 years when we become successful, I'll share with you, since you're in a startup, what I learned from all of this journey. And there's a lot, man. There's really a lot. I mean, even at my age, even if I'm retiring, I think I wouldn't not put all of these lessons in my autobiography, right?
Yeah.
Because I thought that I was done with my Cambodia stint, where I converted a thrift bank to a digital bank, founding Go Time, elevating JG Dev to a point where we have very, very successful startups that we invested in, and I didn't realize that I can still get a lot more here, and there's a lot of stories that I can cull from this journey with PayMongo that that's worth sharing with everybody.
Yeah, and you guys are lucky, because this was supposed to be a story for her daughter lang. Now you all hear it, okay? And you can learn from it as well.
They risked everything, failed spectacularly, and came back stronger. Founders Only, the show where successful entrepreneurs reveal what it really takes. Where risk meets reward. Get ahead now. Subscribe to Founders Only on YouTube and Spotify for breakthrough conversations, expert advice, and the insights your competition doesn't have.